to Ideas with Impact podcast. I'm your host, Alexandra. Today I had the pleasure of meeting Ashira Miram Rose. She's a mystic womb arts and a somatic embodiment mentor, co-founder of the School of Modern Mystics, and a critic of the ethical clothing line Nomatica Clothing. With over a decade of experience, Ashira is passionate about guiding heart-centered women to reconnect with their bodies and embrace a life of sacred sovereignty, earth connection, and devotion to love. For the past 5 years, she had dedicated herself full time to transforming women's relationship with their feminine power through womb work, somatic practices, shamanic lineage healing, and soul activation. Ashira offers private online mentoring, group programs, and retreats that blend multidimensional and earth based practices, empowering you to enhance your personal healing journey.
Hello and welcome, Ashira, to Ideas with Impact podcast. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us from Australia.
Hello. Yes, thank you for having me. Been really looking forward to be here today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's so lovely. I mean, the timing has been a little bit crazy there because we're in completely different opposite of the world, but we made it happen, so I'm super happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Ashira, could you tell me how do you balance between the ancient spiritual tradition and the modern day practice in your work? Because I know you do a lot of spiritual work with your clients. So, how do you balance that, or what is the balance between those two?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would rather say like how I bring them both in because I can't say if it's like a balance in the sense of exactly the same amount of each, but
Mm-hmm.
the ancient spiritual traditions is really working with the wisdom of the lineages, the wisdom of the cycle of the earth, the wisdom of what the lineages of feminine magic, which we can find in Egypt, which we can find in Avalon, which we can find in Mexico, which we can find them everywhere. It's listening to the teachings of what the tribes were bringing forth and what the teachings of the oracles and the priestesses, like listening to that and awaken that within our being. So it's something very mystical. So that's kind of like that part of the ancient part and of the lineages. And then the other part is if we look into modern day society nowadays, there is a lot of trauma that we carry through our childhood, through upbringing, through the postmodern constellation of our mind and how the ego frame works, or the mental frame, because I don't like to like divide and limit things into a box. So that is something that in the ancient times we didn't really have because we were operating completely differently. And that's why the tools that I'm bringing forth, which is really somatic healing, going deeply into the body, listening to the pain, deconstructing mental frameworks and beliefs that we've created through our upbringing, and that a lot of that is really from this life, bringing that also into my work. So we have the balance of both, because I believe that only one part, like for me, if I would do only the somatic work and only the trauma healing, if we want to label it that way, that would feel really dry, and it would almost feel a little bit soulless. But if it's only the work of the ancient lineages and ancient mysticism, there's a part that is also cut out that we have to address, which is our inner child, our emotions, and the stories that we carry within ourselves.
So is this something that you go back into the ancestry and you try to heal that as well?
Well, we work with the ancestors, and the way how we bring them in, like, yes, it goes through the ancestral lineage to respond to your question, but it's not something that works in a very logical way. I mean, sometimes in my sessions or in my transmissions, the ancestors come through and I can see, wow, this is a pattern that has been there for so many eons, for so many lifetimes. And when we work with this, it goes naturally through the lineage because we operate in we are the microcosm within the macrocosm. So if we work on something within our being, rewire and alchemize it, then it ripples out, and not only into the collective, but especially into our our lineage, because we hold that
Right.
DNA within us.
Right. So is this something that you work with women, or is it just both sexes?
When I used to focus on working with women, but now I have really come to a space where also I work with men and women. Well, a lot of my groups at the moment are only for women because I want to create a space that is very safe for women to express, for women to feel, to open, to also connect really deeply to their sexuality and reclaim that, because that in itself is a massive piece that we have been disconnected to and forgotten, which was inherent in our ancient lineages. But at this point, I'm really also wanting to bring that work more to the men and support them in that initiation of their remembrance, including the sexuality and including the emotion, and the work of the embodiment and of feminine embodiment, which is not only for women, but it's for all of life,
Right.
really. Yeah.
Right. But do you think that women are more closed off when it comes down to their sexuality because of what had happened in the historical time? And now women are trying to um, basically trying to figure out what's going on, and they're trying to heal that and try to be more expressive, or like, can you explain that a little bit more? Or
Do you mean like, are women more closed off than men, or just
yeah,
more closed
yeah,
off?
it's like sexually in general, like our sexual aura, for example, or our own being is so much closed off, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I feel, I mean, this is like a big question. I could probably go talk about this for a lot, so I'm going to try to
Probably.
crystallize. But what I feel is that our society has conditioned us, right, into disconnecting us
Mm,
from our sensuality and our sexuality, which is our life force, which is our power. And it's not really only our society, but it's, I mean, religion, which is a big part of society, and even spirituality. And even in the world of feminine embodiment, there can be a separation between, like, what is even allowed, what can we label as sacred sexuality, what can we label as good, and what is taboo. And when I went back onto my own journey of reclamation, I realized that a lot of the aspects, especially in sexuality, because that is like where the juice is. It's like
mm,
they've been labeled as taboo, and
mm,
they have been cut off, and that's the raw and power that comes from the more primordial moon, from the more red and the black, rather than the white and the gold, which is like more the upper chakras, the higher crown, that's like
yeah.
the bringing in, and the lower crown is our primordial darkness, which we root in to the earth. And that is where we draw our life force from, into those centers of creativity and
Mm,
sexuality. And so, yes, to come back to your question, it has been suppressed in order to keep us confined in a box and to keep us in a way controlled. Because imagine every woman being really connected to their sexual life force power. That power is a power of creation, a power of manifestation, and that power is also a source of inspiration. So it's a fire, and they don't want us to be in our fire, because, like, who knows, we may
that's why
burn
everything
something
has been,
down. Yeah.
yeah, that's why everything has been so suppressed for such a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you find that women are more in search of that part of themselves? Like more and more women are.
Yes, I mean, I feel like a lot of women, they have awakened to that part, and they are exploring that energy in many different ways and forms, and really, like, wow, suddenly they realized, oh, there is all this power and all this magnetism here. How do I work with it? And sometimes it
Yeah, they
may
don't know
even,
how, right?
yeah, yeah, and it may, like, just go all over the place and splur out. And then I also feel like there are really, honestly, surprising to me still, because I am so deeply on this path, and a lot of my dear sisters and friends, they really are so awakened to this energy. But then I have a lot of clients and students that come to me that that are not awakened to that, and they really are looking for this, because they know there's something there.
So can you share some specific examples, for example, of a transformational experience that you guide someone through using your um, blend of modalities, for example?
Mm-hmm. Well, like an example of an experience that maybe someone had, or can you define the,
Yeah,
the question a little bit more?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, if
Mm-hmm.
someone's going through some traumas, for example, right? It's like, how would you guide someone through using these different kinds of modalities that you use in your practice?
Yeah, so first
Maybe
of
not
all, I
specifically
will,
traumas, but yeah.
yeah, support them through that journey, or how I
Hmm.
work in my sessions, basically. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
they are very intuitive and tailored to the individual, but
Hmm.
I first have a conversation to really see what the person needs and where they are at, and what it is that they want to deepen into, transform, reclaim within their lives.
Hmm.
And then, very often in that conversation, because we open a sacred space, and I do an invocation, we open a sacred space, we bring in our guides and allies. And so very often in that conversation, they already start to share things that they may have, like, forgotten or suppressed. And they're like, oh wow, yeah, I remember this now, and this happened whatever how many years ago, and I totally forgot about this. So even just that activates pieces in the brain. So it's really, I'm actually really just the energy field that holds space for them to remember. And then sometimes as they speak, I get hints and clues of, I see, where is this connected to? Is this life? Is this a past life? Um, I see and I feel the energy, and I feel where it's stuck in their body. So I either invite them through inquiry, I ask them more questions, because my approach is, I always want people to feel, realize, and find it within themselves, rather than me telling them what I see, because at the end then it's just gonna be me imposing, instead of them finding it from their own empowerment. So I would ask questions to guide them into that space deeper, and they may find it, or it may be revealed. Or if I see something very clearly that wants to be said, I would say, could this be connected to that? or sometimes I do represent, like, this is what I'm seeing or sensing here. Does this resonate? And very often they can be like, yes, wow, and they may have an emotional reaction, or they may have a lot of tears come out, or they're a lot. I mean, what I work, most women hold a lot of anger and suppressed energy in their hips and in their wombs. So we do a lot of hip work. Like, I guide them into moving the hips, into moving the energy, and I move with them. So it's like I kind of feel inside my body what they are experiencing in that moment. And so as I move with them, and then we help to move the energy through. And I
True.
also,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I
Yeah.
also
So
have,
I,
yeah, you
yeah,
go.
sorry, go ahead. So when I came back from Nicaragua, that was one part when we did the the dance. It's
Mm,
because everybody was literally robotic. We were like dancing like this, and it was a somatic dance. And
mhm.
this lady came and she did the whole workshop about the whole somatic work therapy and everything. And at the end was the dance. And it was so uncomfortable at first because we were like, first of all, we were not judging anybody else, but we were judging ourselves. We were like, what? I'm not going to dance like this. And she's like, moving her body like a snake. And like, in my head, in the back of my head, I was like, I can't move like her. I'm like, oh my gosh. But then slowly later, like, she was encouraging us and constantly talking and coming to us, and she's like, lock your eyes and look at me when you do this. And then your body just looking at her, your body just went crazy. It was such a great experience. I personally loved it. It was a great experience for me, for sure. So now
Mm.
whenever I'm stuck, I'll turn the music on and I just keep on moving my body just to kind of get the energy through.
Amazing. Well, I love that you
Yeah.
shared that, because this is really so similar on how I work on a somatic level, and I work a lot with dance. I have over 17-year background in dance. I used to do street dance and hip hop and choreography, and then I was moving into belly dance, and then I was moving into performance, and then I moved into using dance as a healing modality, like officially, kind of.
Mm.
And I, at this point, when I work with my groups, my in-person groups, I bring in dance, and I also bring in choreography. And what I love about this is the choreography invites, because there's this part of this very free flowing dance, which is so important because it connects us to our body and to our intuitive movement. And then the choreography is what invites them to make moves that they would maybe not have done before. And it also is like a
Mm.
stretch beyond the comfort zone. And the way how I work with the choreography is really a transformational temple dance experience. So for them, they kind of learn how to channel the energy of the
Mhm.
enchantress, of the temple priestess, and those ancient practices that, coming back to what you was asking at the beginning, is that's what we used to do in the ancient times. We used to dance, and we used to have certain movements that would unlock frequencies and energies within ourselves and within others, and it was a transmission. And so I love teaching the choreography, because I feel like teaching certain sequences of movements is almost like unlocking. It's like a key and a code that opens up something, and the women love it. It's incredible and totally, yeah, transformational.
You can really connect with the feminine. I just find it that it really brings you that kind of inner peace. At least it did for me.
Yeah. Yeah, so such
Yeah.
an important thing, because everything is held within our body. It's the key, and it's the gateway to everything, really. Yeah.
Do you think this is something that's going to continue grow, that more and more people are going to look into something like this to kind of figure out of who they are and what they want to do and so on? And through these kind of
Yes.
dances and these kind of helping people get through these past traumas or blockages of whatever they have, this would help them out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, when you asked that question, the first thing that came to me was just like, oh yes, we're totally doing it, and it's kind of like my higher guidance was like, yes, this is, I know this is what I came here for, but I know
Yeah.
that this medicine is so strong, and the more of us share it and offer it, then the more we can ripple it out, and then the more it can be remembered, because again, it's not
Right.
only something new, but it's really dance. It's such an ancient and practice and ritual and modality,
Mhm.
and then merging it with the somatic, which then helps us to heal and to open the body and to open the layers and to open suppressed stories and release. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
oh, it's beautiful. I love it. I had absolutely amazing experience, and I'm so looking forward to a second series to see what else I can uncover about myself uh, in this field of awakening and awakening my body in general. Yeah, as a
Oh,
woman.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that. I love that you literally just had that experience, and here we are talking about
yeah.
this and having like a first-hand example of how it just shifted for you just within such a short time, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's just you have to be open. I was very, very
Yeah.
open to that. I have accepted, and I'm like, you know what? Whatever comes my way, I'm okay. Even if it feels uncomfortable, I am going to make myself comfortable. I am just going to go with it. So I did, and it was absolutely worth it. So, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and the openness is the key, and that's why coming back to the question of working with men and women, I feel like at this point in the groups, women feel more safe, and it feels more safe for them
Mhm.
to open being only in a group of women, especially in that
Right.
field and in that area. Whereas if there would be also men, it may take a bit longer, but I
Mhm.
had some visions. Perhaps next year I'm gonna start to bring the men in even into my groups.
Nice.
Yeah. So let's see
Nice.
how it goes. Yeah.
Well, all the best. I wish you all the best. Yes. Would love to hear all about it when we connect down the road. So it will be really nice to have you back on to talk about that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I would love to share
So,
more
what
on this.
advice, yeah, what advice would you give to an individual or individuals looking to embark on a journey of self discovery and a spiritual growth? Because, again, going back to that point of people are, it's like they're waking up, they're searching for things, right?
Hmm.
So, what advice would you give to someone?
For someone who is kind of just waking up and looking,
Yeah,
search.
someone who is looking to, embark on this journey of self
Yeah.
discovery, for example.
Yeah. Well, I would say that it may feel really scary, and it probably is scary because it's new, it's unknown, it's different to anything that we've been ever told before. But trust your inner voice and really follow that. And we there are so many voices that we have inside ourselves, and sometimes it's difficult to even know which one of those is the right one, is the inner one. But the right one is the one that is just deep inside and it keeps whispering. And it's the one that feels good. It's the one that feels like a point of light. It's the one that when you listen to that, wow, there's so much fear and I don't know what the truth is, but when I feel this, something feels right about it. That's the voice. And to just follow that voice. And the more we follow that voice, the clearer, the stronger, the more attuned that voice becomes. And the more we embark on the journey of discovering ourselves, our body, our truth, of healing, the more the other voices fade away because they are only imprints and residues of stories that we hold in our body that are no longer accurate to this present moment. And then life becomes magical and life becomes a miracle because we will be walking in our truth. Yeah. That's what I
Do
would
you think
say.
people are afraid to listen to that inner voice sometimes?
Oh,
And that's
absolutely.
why there's all
Absolutely.
that negativity or they reject the self-awareness and the spiritual growth and everything.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Because they're, following that voice often means going against everything that we've been told, going against society, going against our parents, our family. And it's making a leap of faith into something that we don't even know what will be there. It's like stepping into the dark forest without knowing, and it invites us into the hero's journey. So it's scary, and very often we want to stay in the known, we want to stay in the comfort zone, but staying in the known and staying in the comfort zone will only take us to a mediocre existence. And
Right.
now's the time for us to live a magical existence.
I agree. Yes. You feel free. Like you said, tell the truth, be the truth, walk the truth, and the rest of it will come. The universe will send you all the information. It'll give you what you really do need in your life. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely I do advise to work find a balance. Obviously, we follow our path and then have someone working with a mentor or with a guide or someone that you truly trust, and you feel like this person has something for me, can be super helpful. Because while we are in the sea of stories and thoughts and we are still finding our truth, to have someone who's really anchored in their truth and who can be that clear mirror and that clear guide, not imposing their own beliefs and the stories upon us, and not imposing a religion or a path upon us, but presenting us an avenue that may support us, as someone that can perhaps hold our hand for part of the way. Eventually, we all need to find the 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 diamond in the black forest, in the dark forest ourselves. It's our journey, but it's beautiful to have a guide for part of the way that can support us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree because sometimes we can get so lost in so many things, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and that helps. It accelerates. I mean, I love working with mentors and with people, and I can see like, wow, this just accelerated my journey by so much. And something that by myself would have taken me maybe 5 years, I've
Yeah.
done now in 1 year, or in a couple of months even. And we quantum
Right.
leap. Yeah, because they hold that
We all need someone to guide us through our own process, our own journey, our own
Yeah.
whatever we're going through, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
ever experienced with psychedelic plants medicine? Do you do that? Do you guide others through the transformation, or this is something that you don't do in your practice?
I've been actually trained with the Shipibo tribes in Peru.
Okay.
My partner and we've both been trained with the Shipibo tribes, and we've both been trained in the shamanic healing arts. with plant medicines, and yeah, with plant medicine. And we co-facilitated groups in the Amazon jungle in Peru. We assisted groups over there, so we have extensive experience in that. And yes, I have done that, and I have held ceremonies and groups with plant medicines, with different medicines in different places and countries. Yeah, definitely have experience in that, and have worked myself very deeply with the plants. In my own journey, I'm at the point now where the plants, I just feel like the medicine is inside me. And whenever I work with the plant, even now, I mean, of course, it's always powerful and I have such deep respect, but they always show me everything you do is already it. Like, you are the medicine, it's here, there's nothing else for you to get here at this moment, because it may change in some years. It's not like now done. So that's where I find myself, but I find it very powerful to support people in that journey. And in the same time, in my groups, because I believe it's because I have worked with the plants and I hold that medicine within me. In my groups, I find them as transformational as someone taking the medicine. And in the same time, I do, it is a deep passion of mine to hold space for that, because I love to witness people's transformation. And it's especially for people that are quite closed and desensitized to feeling, and they need something more. The plant helps them to break through, and then holding that space and witnessing them, yes, it's a deep honor. So
Yeah, I was about to ask you if that would help other people who are a little bit less, or they're afraid, it would help them to experience better or see better, or whatever the term is. I personally never done it. I'm interested in it. I'm looking into it. But it's I'm a herbalist myself, but I haven't done plant medicine. I'm curious, because I am a herbalist and I'm always kind of like playing with herbs. And I was like, what does this do? What is this? So it'll be quite interesting. But my point is, or the question is, when someone's going through the journey, would this plant medicine help them through that process into awakening or into that transformation somehow?
yeah, well, I feel the plant medicine 100% help on the journey, on the process. And I also feel it's so extremely important to choose a right facilitator, because if you do not have a right facilitator, it can also backfire and it can actually be traumatizing. I experienced that myself. I had the whole spectrum. Of course, very often when we serve in something, we get initiated in a way, and I had the experience where I had just very traumatizing experience with the plant. I didn't feel safe. I was left alone, kind of. And another thing that happened is the facility. I feel the facilitator, so it's not only about holding a safe space and being able to guide people like somatically, but is someone that has to be switched on all the different dimensions. Because what happened is we open portals, and energies, beings, entities from all different dimensions come through these portals. We literally open portals. And I mean, you will see that when you take the plant. It's not, like, people will be like, oh, I don't know if this is true, because this is something I do in my work, but people maybe don't see it. But on the plant, you will see it. So the facilitator's responsibility is to keep a very pristine energy so they can witness what is coming in and what is going out. Because if you are just in a space, maybe someone next to you is clearing something, and that energy can hop onto you if somewhere that resonates. And if, like, the facilitator's role or the shaman's role is really to hold a space and know what's happening within everyone in the room and in the space, and to be able to bring them back to the truth, to the love, and anchor in that. Because if they can't, and if they're not in full awareness on all levels of the multidimensionality, yeah, it can backfire. So you have to be with a lot of caution, I would say. You know, nowadays you can find it everywhere. Everyone is like facilitating plans, and
Right.
yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
I've heard that, and it can get pretty, especially with people without any experience. It can get pretty bad. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you need to come to Canada for that. I'll be
Yeah.
I'll be definitely interested, or I'll come and see you in Australia. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll let you know when we feel called back. At the moment, we are kind of
Yeah.
on a bit on a pause with them. We are, but I know that the time will come that we will be taking groups again,
Oh, that's beautiful.
for the
Yeah.
bigger experiences. So we'll let you know.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, how can you, or can you share how practices like shamanic art or tantra have shaped your understanding of spirituality and personal growth?
Yes. Yeah, that's again, it's a really deep question,
We're
but
gonna
I
get
feel,
deep, yes.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like everything that we've just spoken about is really what also shaped my reality. I mean, everything that I'm sharing here is because I have worked with it, I have gone through the layers and embodied it. But really, yeah, with the shamanic practices, I would say certainly the plant medicine, everything that I've learned with the plant and everything that I've learned with the mentors who were teaching me how to facilitate the plants. Helped me being able to see through the veils, being able to see and sense energy and experience where things are blocked or not blocked within my own body and learning how to move them. I would say maybe that's more the shamanic path and working with the different layers of the different dimensions and lifetimes and all that. Um, and then on the tantric path, I mean, even the word tantra is needs a whole podcast, I feel. But if I would say defining the tantric path at the pathway of surrender, coming back to, yeah,
Yes.
the tantric arts and how they have supported my path. I mean, I feel like the word tantra and tantra in itself as a pathway, the way how I see it, it's really the path of surrendering to life and living life in its fullness. So I feel like what the path of Tantra has been teaching me is to be present with everything that I experience and allow myself to go into it, you know, because at the end of the day, we are all humans. Life
Yeah.
is happening. Like things that we don't want or that we didn't count would happen are happening. There are
Yeah.
deadlines that are not being met. That life, you know.
Yeah.
And then, and I mean, you're a mother. I'm not
Yeah.
a mother at this point, but I have a lot of respect because I feel like when you're a mother, it's like the ultimate initiation on the path of tantra, really, you know, because that
Yeah.
tantra is the path of surrender, of like really deepening into life. And I feel like for me, the more I've worked with healing my own traumas, healing my own stories, healing, releasing emotions that are held in my body, the more my capacity to be present with life has been expanded in those situations and to like soften into them and deepen. And I'm not perfect, you know, and of course there are moments where I get triggered or upset, but yeah, I feel that's like that what tantra, if we look at it at that. And then obviously there's also the tantra, the dimension of what we see like tantra and sexuality, and then in tantra and the ancient lineages. So there's a lot to tantra, but yeah.
Yeah, this is something new that I'm discovering it too. So I'm all about that right now as well. It's quite
Yes.
interesting. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, and I mean it's again bringing it back to our sexuality and understanding that these teachings of tantra and what is showing us is really showing us the power of our sexual life force, or even
Mhm.
just our life force. We can take this word sexual away.
Right.
It, but it is pure. Um, sensuality, sexuality, it's that, but it's also so much more than that. Like we can
Mm.
activate that by only sitting in deep presence and stillness and feel the energy, and that energy rising within us and turning into like an orgasmic experience, right?
Mhm.
But it is the life force. And I think the like the experience of having sex or self pleasure or self love rituals is what supports us in opening those gateways, if we know how to channel that energy correctly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is opening a whole nother portal of conversation here, because again, that in itself has been in our society so
Yeah.
on one side suppressed, and then on the other side we are hypersexualized, and
Right.
we just are bombarded with it from all sides, and it's just really
Right.
keeping the energy locked. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this will bring me to, how do you integrate principles of feminine magic and womb mysteries into your work with women, for example?
um into my courses, into like my
Mhm.
work that I offer, or
Yeah, absolutely. If you can share all of that. Yeah.
well, I integrate them through the teachings. So it depends what it is that the particular course is about. Like for example, now I have two 1 day immersions coming up. They are in person. One of them is the Rose Mistress, and the other one is Eros Grief Temple. So we go really deeply into exploring our grief. We go really deeply into exploring our um, the layers that are held within our womb of grief, of ancestral, of current life. And then in the Rose Mistress, we work with the teachings of Magdalene and the lineage and what she's brought forth. And yeah, it comes through through my own journey, again through what I have experienced in my life, to the land that I have walked, because I feel there are different places that are very activated in the world and that hold the wisdom. And then when we go through those places, we unlock the memory within us. And then also working with people, with mentors that have held that memory and transmitted it to me, for me to unlock it within me, from a knowing in my body,
Mhm.
not in the mind. And then sharing that. But ultimately, everything is actually just a transmission of love. That's the essence of everything. And
Mhm.
like I feel like with when I choose to work with someone, I always tune in like how deeply are they embodying what they're sharing, because someone can come and speak about exactly the same thing that I'm speaking about, but if they haven't embodied it, if they haven't experienced it, then it will only be words. It's same like when you read a book, and
Right.
some books are like, wow, oh my god, I totally feel that, and maybe some are not. And
Yeah.
that's it's the transmission of the energy, really. So that's how I integrate it, by myself living it every day and embodying it. um
Mm.
and then obviously the teachings, there's a lot that is uncovered through
Yeah.
through the teachings. Yeah.
And so you also do work with the womb mysteries, right? Like that's one of your teachings that you offer as well.
Oh yeah, that is very deeply an inherent part of my journey of having explored, or of continuously exploring
Mhm.
the mystery of the womb, the magic of our feminine potential, really, and what lies within there. And she is a portal. She is a portal into the going beyond the linear and going beyond the logical. And
Mm.
she is a dimension. So it is really again about sitting with that. And what I can really, really highly recommend to every woman in how to access this in the most easiest way is through our menstruation. So when we are bleeding, she opens, the portal opens, the oracle opens. She's an oracle. So taking the time to rest on our bleed, even if it's just for maybe the first day, even if it's just for a couple of hours, to not be on technology, to not be on the phone, to not have anything, but maybe just play some gentle music and really soften. And the some women experience a lot of pain or experience contraction, and actually those contractions themselves can be a gateway into the oracular consciousness. So breathing into them, and I mean, you have given birth, so you kind of know,
Yes.
I have not given birth, so I can't speak about that, but it's a micro birth, because that's really what's experienced, what happens. We're shedding the layers of the uterus and
Right.
rebirthing it when we would actually be the placenta. So
Right.
we're accessing, and even on a scientific level and a hormonal level, there are so many different hormones that are activated within us throughout the process of menstruation, that there are over, I think about like over 300 different hormones, and they are the same ones that are activated within us when we are giving birth. And giving birth is we open a portal. So this is an incredible way, and I actually have a course around that called Cyclical Living. It's a self-paced journey, so anyone can do it in their own time, where I guide women through the journey of the 4 cycles that we go through within one cycle.
No,
Yeah.
that's I think even talking about even the cycle itself, I think a lot of women don't understand the cycle. Um, you know, it's 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 very funny to see actually that women don't know that. Not funny, this is maybe the wrong word, but it's like so simple yet so complicated for some. And bringing
Yeah.
that into their attention and actually explaining it to them, it's like with the moon cycle, right? There's the moon cycle, all these phases of different, how do you do the first 14 days, you do this, and the next couple of days you do this, so you don't do heavy exercise. Like you mentioned earlier, it's that relaxing music. You do yoga, you do meditation, you really take care of yourself. Where on the other cycles, you be a little bit more engaged into like different activities and doing different things, right? So it's quite interesting to see that. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and that's what you were just saying about how so many women, they are not connected to that, and the thing is, that's when life becomes confusing as a woman, and that's when women are being labeled as overly emotional or complex or all these things. But I mean, we are complex in our nature, because we are multidimensional, and we carry the womb of life within us, so yeah, of course we're going to be complex, but we can understand ourselves if we, like, this is for me, this is the first step. That's why I created just a really comprehensive and in-depth but very accessible course around this, because I want every woman to have access to that. It's a first step into the rites of passage of womanhood. And when we understand how our cycle works without being attached to it having to be a certain way, but also listening to our body meanwhile, it already uncomplicates things, and it makes life so much easier. And then we can educate the people around us, and
Yeah.
then they'll understand us better, and then our relationship blossom into another level, and then we feel more honored and cherished. And like I know, like, I know it in myself when I don't rest. So I've like, when I rest on my bleed and I get that time to nourish myself, I'm just so in my softness. I'm in this beautiful, magical, and mystical space. And my partner really understands and he honors me and he supports me and my needs in that time. But when I don't rest, and like, sometimes life happens again, and you don't, maybe you like exactly that day and you have to catch a flight, or you have to go to work, I notice that I'm more agitated and I'm more grumpy because there's something that just doesn't feel right within me. And I had that experience recently, and it was really powerful to me because it brought a lot of compassion to my heart, and being like, oh my God, so many women are like that. And then they put themselves down because they're like, why am I so angry? Why am I so agitated? Why am I so snappy? And then their partner is like, you're being really snappy. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow. And it even creates more of that, but it's actually just take a rest and everything will be good, you know
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Take
that's the
care of
thing.
yourself, right?
Yeah, because
Mm.
the womb is calling us to listen to her. She wants us to listen, and that's like one of the most incredible gateways for us to receive information from our own body.
Just listen. We have to learn how to listen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, is there any final thought that you would like to share with us?
Well, I feel like we really covered the whole spectrum of everything in this episode, so I feel quite complete. Yes.
Okay.
hmm
Thank you. How can people reach you?
So they can reach me on my website, which is schoolofmodernmystics.com, and on Instagram also at School of Modern Mystics. I am currently rebranding, so the name is going to change.
Okay.
Um, but they'll find me if they need to. My name is Ashira Miriam Rose, so they can also find me through my name. And yeah, I offer one-on-one mentoring for men and women that are very deep initiatory journeys. And I offer online courses and online experiences to walk together that are all of them are really deep and initiatory journeys.
Yeah.
And in my work, the way I hold a space is really about the circle and really about the sisterhood, and for everyone to have a space to share, to be seen. It's intimate, and I like that. It's not massive groups where you don't have the space to really express yourself. And I feel like these intimate journeys are the ones that create such deep
Mhm.
and long lasting transformations. So
Yeah, there's
yeah,
more connection for that.
yes, yeah. So anyone
Hmm.
who feels inspired, welcome to send me a message. Welcome to reach out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Thank you so much. What I will do is definitely I'll have all the information posted on the bottom of the podcast so people can have easy access to message you directly. So Ashira, thank you so much for your time. It was such a pleasure to learn about you and about your business and everything. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. It was so nice to be here. Thank you for all your amazing questions. I feel like they themselves opened the portals, and yeah, an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.